The figurehead Biden, one of the biggest cover-ups about him, I mean, it's not the fact that he's mentally deficient. That's been clear to a lot of us since he was installed. It's only the Mockingbird media that wanted to pretend otherwise. It's not even the fact that he is a con artist who has grifted his way into taking $50 million or more for his family. That's been obvious for some time with the help of great writers like Peter Schweitzer, who's detailed this extensively. One of the biggest lies about Joe Biden has to do with him as a person, and it goes to these pardons. It goes to why these, not pardons, pardon me, these Medal of Freedoms, the pardons as well, but it goes to these Medal of Freedoms he gave out, Medals of Freedom. It goes to them. It is part and parcel of his personality and who he is and why he was the perfect person to install at this period of time. Number one, he's mentally deficient. Number two, he's got a certain personality trait that makes him the perfect person to engage in the last and complete shredding of the Treasury, the raiding of it, and, in my opinion, an absurdly clear humiliation ritual. That's what I think just went on with these Medals of Freedom. And it can be humiliating to watch. It's not humiliating, but it can be very, very depressing. Age, when you're aging, there's just some things you are not going to be able to do any longer. Now, you've heard me say I try to engage in extreme fitness. Some people call it extreme. I don't think it is. CrossFit at my age and doing the sort of things I do in my age and going down and getting my butt kicked at Seal Fit and all that at my age seems extreme to some people. But here's some things I've come upon. I'll probably never deadlift 400 pounds, 450, never 500 again. My joints won't do it. It's not that the weight gets that heavy. It's just that my joints won't do it. I'm not going to go gently into the good night, though, of, hey, ride a recumbent bike. I'd rather eat a Glock than ride a recumbent bike for exercise, and my friends know this. So I do what I can to do what I can, and part of this is working with Renew.Healthcare. Now, it can restore things that you think are gone. For instance, you might be being told that you're headed for bone on bone, the cartilage in your knees. That might not need to be true. The ethically gathered stem cells at Renew.Healthcare from placentas and umbilical cords, it can rebuild cartilage. Just depends on how much is there to begin with, and they'll tell you if they can help you. It can rebuild tendon and muscle, and it can fight inflammation. Now, I'm going to go have an MRI done on my back. This thing that's keeping me from deadlifting, it's my SI joint. I know exactly what's going on. My question for Renew is, can they help? And I'm going to share the results with you. If they can help, I'm headed back down for another treatment down there. If you're being told that surgery for the rest of your life, a whole bunch of surgeries or a whole bunch of pills, pause. Find out if they can help you with a quick 4 to 5 day trip to beautiful Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Go to Renew.Healthcare. It's RENUE.Healthcare. And tell them you're part of the Todd Herman Show family. This is figurehead Biden. One of the biggest cover-ups of his career is the sort of man he is, which comes across in this quick clip. And by the way, sorry, Lord, please forgive us for him taking your name in vain here. I wanted people to hear this in complete context.
By being the oldest president, I know more world leaders than any one of you ever met in your whole life.
Should we play that one more time? Look at the disgust in his face and the arrogance and the anger. In a rare moment of lucidity, this is what he offers.
By being the oldest president, I know more world leaders than any one of you ever met in your whole life.
That's the biggest cover-up about Joe Biden. He's vicious. He's a vicious man. You don't make it in politics without having some degree of viciousness. And it's vicious what he just did to the Medal of Freedom. This is from Fox News, some of the faces that receive these Medals of Freedom. I mean, Denzel Washington's rumored to have gone out with Jeffrey Epstein. He also, though, was just baptized. Maybe that's in response to Epstein. Maybe that was a rumor. He was baptized. He's sort of inert in this. Michael J. Fox has done a lot to bring attention to his disease. Magic Johnson? Okay. Okay. But it's the evil ones that get me. Some of them are overtly and obviously evil. Some of them hide their evil. Bono has gone around the world solving hunger, right? Well, kind of. He's also involved in stealing farmland in the United States of America in order to run carbon dioxide pipelines under the ground and to hoard that carbon dioxide in order to build massive industrial greenhouses filled with fake meat or filled with the process of making fake meat. And Bono, I'm sure, thinks this is going to solve world hunger. But if you look at what God provided and how he provided it, eating processed fake meat is not the way to go. Now, he's not evil, but evil's being done through him. Jane Goodall, she's someone who agrees that we should kill about 7 billion people. She's one of those folks. Now, she's still alive and she's very elderly. If she's worried about too many people on the planet, she could, of course, go out and end her own life. She's not going to do that because she's very, very important. Ralph Lauren, okay, fashion icon, a promoter of sex of all types at all times with all sorts of comers and goers. Okay, part and parcel of the time. George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Bill Nye, the mechanical engineering guy. This was a humiliation ritual. Hillary Clinton attempted to overthrow a president. She attempted to steal an election by falsifying research. Her disgraced law firm, in my judgment, Perkins Coie, in my judgment, laundered her money to pretend it was research, legal fees. It wasn't. It was opposition research. Sometimes I understand it was media buying. Hillary Clinton, who got how many people killed in Benghazi? Hillary Clinton, who had given Ben Fleck her direct phone number, but not Ambassador Christopher Stevens. Hillary Clinton, who committed some 45 to maybe even 500 national security felonies, depending on how you count it. Hillary Clinton, who still contends that Russia stole the election from her, she was given a Medal of Freedom. A woman who became a multi-billionaire through politics. A woman who says it was hard work that got her there. What was the hard work of being placed on the board of Walmart, a company you then went on to decry? Mitt Romney accepted a medal on behalf of his father, George Romney. One of the reasons Mitt Romney stands there, of course, is because he was anti-Trump, never Trump to the end, and because he supported things like January 6th. It's George Soros that is the true humiliation ritual. I mean, Hillary Clinton and George Soros are one and the same. Soros has poured money into open borders. He's poured money into cities like Vancouver and their needle sharing programs, Seattle needle sharing programs, which then became handing people 200 needles at a time, which has now become handing out heroin in Vancouver. They're now leaning into doing this in Seattle. It has created zombies on the streets of both these cities, in Portland and San Francisco and other cities. It's created new flesh-eating diseases. He's part of defund the police. He's a guy who's considered by countries, nation states, to be a financial criminal who destroyed their currency so he could make money. He's a guy who, when the Nazis came to his country, decided to work with them, doing things like helping them steal art. There's not a piece of the Soros enterprise that is not aimed at something he stated he wanted done. He said America needed to be taken down a few notches. Everything he does is to take America down a few notches. And here he is getting a Medal of Freedom in an obvious attempt to create a humiliation ritual against this nation.
Accepting on behalf of George Soros is Alex Soros. The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to George Soros. Born into a Jewish family in Hungary, George Soros escaped Nazi occupation to build a life of freedom for
Yeah, that was after he worked with the Nazis, just so we're clear.
himself and countless others around the world. Educated in England, he settled in America as he became an investor and philanthropist, supporting key pillars of open societies.
Key pillars of open societies, like letting teenagers shoot up with drugs on the streets of Seattle, San Francisco, and Vancouver, Canada. A champion of freedom. The Medal of Freedom should be taken back. President Trump has the power to do that. He has the power to cancel those medals and to take them back. In fact, he has the power to demand they be given back. He should do that in the case at least of Soros and Hillary Rodham Clinton. He should also do it with a vicious man named Bill Nye, the mechanical engineering guy. You know that Bill Nye is not a scientist, right? I mean, I'm a big fan of the idea that to some degree we can all be scientists. But he doesn't talk about what his background is. It's mechanical engineering. He worked at Boeing. He got onto a comedy show where he played sort of a wacky experimenter. Then he got a children's show. Then he became a far-left commentator. Now he's Bill Nye, who's been given a Medal of Freedom despite conversations like this.
So should we have policies that penalize people for having extra kids in the developed world?
So I do think that we should at least consider it.
Well, at least consider it is like...
Do it.
Should we have policies that punish having too many children in the developed world? The developed world is not replacing itself. People are having so few kids that we are in a population collapse death spiral. One of the reasons why world bosses are massively distributing people illegally all across the globe is got to have someone to boss. What fun is being a boss if you don't have anyone to boss? There's also this, and it's common with he and people like Jane Goodall and others who say there's too many people. They're saying it. In other words, they're alive. They're animatory. They can still speak because they're alive. They haven't taken their own lives. This is where my great test a listener gave me one time applies. It's this. You go first. You say there's too many people on earth? You go first, Bill Nye. I doubt he's going to do that. The humiliation ritual that they put this nation through in regard to the Medal of Freedom reminds me of what the powers that be thought they were doing to Jesus in humiliating him. I think he chose to not be humiliated because he knew the end state. He knew the end game. And in this case as well, we know this. Biblically speaking, it's debatable how long there's going to be a United States, how long it's going to exist. We know there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, and we know that humiliation rituals will never be a part of that. This seems to me sometimes to be the dying gasps of the demonic. In fact, I'd heard Steve Bannon say we need to have an exorcism of the White House.
Given what Biden's doing today with Soros and Clinton, is we should have an exorcism.
I think we probably do. But sometimes I'm concerned that it's momentum of the demonic. No one's checking them, so they just continue to run wild. Either way, we know this, God wins. Sometimes that's empty comfort for people. Sometimes it's empty comfort for me. Not in this case. Because I know unless these people repent, their humiliation will last through eternity.